Thank you, Jen, for joining us today. My name is Mulki, and here with me is my colleague, Ryan. Can you just first start introducing yourselves to our Runta News audience, starting with your full name, titles at the Seattle Department of Transportation?
My name is Jen Malley-Crawford. I'm the Transit Service and Strategy Manager at the Seattle Department of Transportation.
Jen, can you explain what the 2026 Seattle Transit Measure actually is?
Yes, so the Seattle Transit Measure is a sales tax that funds public transportation investments across the city. The mayor's proposal would continue our investment in transit so people can get where they need to go, whether that's work or school, medical appointments, or running errands. If approved by voters, it would continue funding more bus service, free transit passes for thousands of residents, and improvements that make transit more reliable. The Seattle Transit Measure is one of the city's most important tools for strengthening transit service and transit access through adding more bus trips, streetcar trips, free Orca passes, and investments to improve safety, reliability, and frequency. This is estimated to cost the median two-person Seattle household about $58 a year, or $4.83 per month. That's $29 more per year, or about $2.40 per month more than the current measure.
What new services or benefits would this measure bring to Seattle communities?
The mayor's proposal would mean more buses more often, and at times of day people really need them, outside of the peak commuting hours, evenings, nights, weekends. It would mean more free transit passes for our low-income families, students, and Seattle Housing Authority residents. And it would target safety and reliability improvements. It funds 280,000 bus trips each year. That's 100,000 more trips than the measure funds today. It also supports streetcar operations and makes targeted improvements at places where buses get delayed. We know this matters because Seattle is not a 9-to-5 city. People rely on transit to access jobs, school, medical appointments, childcare, grocery stores, community events, and family responsibilities at all times of day. This proposal also more than doubles the number of free transit passes that we give out to low-income families, from 10,000 people per year to 22,000 people per year. Every dollar of Seattle Transit Measure resources that goes towards transit service also helps make transit safer by supporting Metro's security efforts and delivering more frequent, reliable service. More buses and shorter waits means a safer, more comfortable trip for everyone. So through the Seattle Transit Measure, we're able to make buses run more frequently on days of the week and times of day that benefit transit-dependent populations the most. The city uses an equity-centered investment methodology to prioritize service investments that serve low-income families and historically underserved communities. Some examples of this are increased service on the H line through Delridge to White Center and Burien, the Route 60 through Beacon Hill and South Park to White Center, the Route 107 through Beacon Hill to Rainier Beach, Route 106 through Chinatown to Rainier Beach, and Route 7 through downtown Seattle to Columbia City and Rainier Beach. The result of all of these investments is that we're expanding transit access for particularly focused on those who work non-traditional hours and need reliable 24-hour transit access. The Seattle Transit Measure uses an equity-centered approach to send investments directly to historically underserved neighborhoods, including South Seattle and Somali community hubs.
Why was the sales tax chosen as the funding mechanism for this program?
State law limits local transit funding options, and we should be honest, a sales tax is not a perfect tool, but under state law, cities are limited in how we can fund transportation. And if we don't use the tools that are available to us, the result is less transit service and fewer free Orca passes for our low-income neighbors, and that would hurt people who rely on transit the most. So with a sales tax, anyone who spends time in or does business in Seattle pays a sales tax, not just residents. So this includes businesses, people who work in Seattle but live elsewhere, and visitors. More than half of sales tax revenue comes from the retail, construction, and leisure and hospitality sectors. And essentials like groceries, medications, rent, and baby products aren't taxed at all. We know every dollar matters for families. That is exactly why these investments go toward more bus service and free passes so people can meet their daily travel needs.
Is there anything you like to say directly to Seattle, Somali, African, and Muslim communities about this measure?
Yes. We know many families rely on transit every day to get to work, take children to school, attend appointments, and stay connected to their community. We want to make sure everyone has access to information in their preferred language and has opportunities to learn about this proposal and participate in this important conversation. The Seattle Transit Measure supports additional transit service in Yesler Terrace, Beacon Hill, Rainier Valley, Rainier Beach, and Tukwila, where many Somali speakers live. Transit routes in the city of Seattle connect people across the region to jobs, friends, fun activities. Whether someone lives in Seattle or not, this will help them access the region. The Seattle Transit Measure expands service during the evenings, at night, and on weekends, as well as midday. It also funds added service specifically on routes 106, 107, and 124 that connect to Tukwila, where many of our Somali neighbors live, to Seattle. These routes provide reliable, all-day connections to Somali businesses, services, and community hubs. In the renewal of the Seattle Transit Measure, these would continue to be important investments.
Thank you for listening. Please make sure to share, like, and subscribe to Runta News channel on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.